Do not go to business school. There are only 4 steps to starting a business, and they do not require a $100,000 education or more. Here's why. Economic theory, graphs and charts, futures and predictions, mixers and fraternities, fancy video conferencing, beautiful glass-walled buildings from donors. That's all well and good. But the truth is that most of it is noise, at least if you want to be an entrepreneur. Now, sure, if you want to run the central bank or make economic policy for the European Union or be a middle executive at an already existing Fortune 500 company or climb the slow ladder of selling packaged derivatives of futures of the South American bond market to pension funds on Wall Street, macro it up. Get an MBA, please do, of course. But if you want to start a company, meaning give real value to the world instead of pushing numbers around, or scale your company, you don't need business school. There are only 4 factors you need to pay attention to. These are your North Stars. These 4 are your why and your how and your what answer to every single business question that you will ever have. 1, product. 2, lead generation. 3, lead conversion, sales. And 4, lifetime value optimization. Got that? Product, lead gen, lead conversion, and lifetime value. That's it. Nail those 4 and you're set for life. In order to start or to run a successful business, you must necessarily have a value that you give to individuals. And in exchange for giving that value, each individual repays you by giving you some money. Simple, right? I make you a chocolate shake, you give me money. I make the glass that the chocolate shake is put in, the restaurant gives me money. I harvest the cocoa beans that are sold to the chocolate factory that are shipped to the ice cream manufacturer. I cut down the trees and sell them to the factory that turns those trees into cardboard, which is sold to the ice cream carton manufacturer, which is, you see where this is going. Side note, the fact that you can get a milkshake for 99 cents from anywhere is a miracle of capitalism. So unlikely and complicated, it may just be worthy of our time to take a step back for a second and be thankful for capitalism, yes? The macro complexity of, well, everything is beautifully, insanely unlikely, which is why business school is both intricate and useless. There is no one person who understands it. The economy is a giant organism. Sure, maybe understand sort of how it evolved, but how did that first cell begin? And what is an atom? And why is there something rather than nothing? Ask why enough times, and both your physics and your economics professors alike, if they're intellectually honest, will admit that they don't really know why anything is the way it is. Lots of bloviating and not much practicality. My point is that money and commerce and business is the real world. It's just an exchange of value. Then on a micro me and a micro you have a business level, the process is actually super simple. I do something for you. This makes you happy, so you give me money. Wash, rinse, repeat. Voila. We have a business. We have an economy. Scale this down to me, helping you move some rocks from one part of your farm to another part of your farm, or scale it up to making the magic AI God machine that is an iPhone for hundreds of millions of people. No matter, it's still the same process. But how do we break this exchange into its basic components? Well, first, we have to know what our specific value-giving machine is. What do I do for you? What do I make for you? And how is it unique? That's the product. Then the next step is marketing. How do you know that I exist? How do I give you my pitch? How do I tell everyone about my special skill or value-giving machine? Lead generation. Though then, let's say I have my specific product and I've told everyone about it in the world through marketing. What's the next step? I now need to convince you to actually write me the check or pull out your wallet or use your credit card. This is lead conversion. This is the stage of choice. Then finally, once I give you value, how do I continue to give you value more and more and more? How do I build customer loyalty? How do I apply the 80-20 Pareto principle to my company? Meaning that 80% of my revenue comes from 20% of my customers. This is lifetime value optimization. Hence, the 4 pillars of any business: product, lead gen, lead conversion, and lifetime value. Or in another vernacular, brand, advertising, sales, and customer loyalty. These are your 4: water, oxygen, food, and shelter. Hold them close to your heart. Look at them up close and personal. Analyze them. See where you're doing well and where you're not, and fix your problem areas, and you're basically set. Let's go through them one by one. Pillar 1, product. This is not that complicated. Why should I give you money? No, really. What are you doing for me? What are you giving me? Why should I buy it from you instead of someone else? That's it. It's not rocket science. Hey, here's a hammer. You may need this. Hardware store. Looks like you could use a sandwich. I got a sandwich for you right here. Restaurant. Need some advice? Check out this book I wrote. Feel a little uncomfortable holding so much cash? Well, I've got a vault over here and you can use my vault. I'll keep your money safe. Bank, etc., etc., etc. Again, the only question you need to ask with regards to your brand is this one. What do I do for who, and why is it worthy of them giving me money? And then amongst the other people in the world who have the same specialty and they can solve the same problem, how do I do it better? Since I'm a florist, what makes me better than all the other florists? That's a simple question. And the answer is both your product and your marketing angle. It's both your brand and your company culture. It's your sales copy and your style. This answer will inform the rest of your company from the very start. So as an example, let's take someone who is really great at sewing. My mother comes to mind. Everyone's always asking her to cover old pillows because she can make these beautiful covers for not too much money. Side note, I think she's selling herself short, but we'll get to that later when we talk about pricing. Chris Guillebeau, New York Times bestselling author of Side Hustle and also The $100 Startup, references it this way. What do people ask you to do for them? It's a good question to answer. It may very well be the start of your business or the trigger that focuses your marketing in order to scale one that you already have. For my mom, if she wanted to start a business, since she already has a growing base of people who know her for her pillow making abilities, this is a good start. So for you, what is that skill? What's the thing that you do better than everyone else? What's your unique value proposition? Because everyone and every business has a unique value proposition. Quicken Loans is, well, fast. Rocket Mortgage from the same company, also fast. Notice they don't say fanciest or best customer service or lowest rate or personalized, just fast. Same with Rolls-Royce. They aren't selling you the safest car or the cheapest or the most family-friendly or the most powerful. They're selling you the highest class. It's a luxury vehicle, status, rank. And so they double down on that brand. They double down on what they can offer specifically that no other car manufacturer can offer, at least not to the level that they do. And so too, you need to articulate to yourself what you do better and differently than everyone else. That, my friends, is pillar 1, your product. Pillar 2, after you have your brand, your unique value proposition, the thing that you can do differently, the product that you can create that is unique, once you have that, there are only 3 levers that you have to pull in order to turn that value-giving machine into an empire. So first, you have to get people to come to your store. You have to tell the world that you have something to offer. You need to, in a word, advertise. This can be as simple as a sign out in front of your store and as complicated as bidding on Google AdWords searches, which, by the way, is not actually that complicated. So what else? There's television, billboards, newspapers, the little banner ads that you see everywhere on every website. There's Facebook advertising, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, TikTok, the aforementioned Google. There's phone sales. You can cold call people. You can knock on doors. You can interrupt passerbys on the street. There are magazines and handing out flyers. There's radio. There's podcasts. Hello, there's naming entire sports arenas in your honor, like Oracle Arena or Little Caesars Stadium. Brought to you by Coca-Cola, the Progressive Insurance Halftime Report, etc., etc. The point is that your goal, regardless of how big you are, is to get the word out. To begin, you'll want to focus on ROI positive advertising, return on investment positive advertising, meaning return on your investment advertising. Meaning, if I spend $1, I get more than $1 back, hopefully the very same day. Actually, you can paint the town red with Coca-Cola everywhere if you want. Maintaining your brand, basically brainwashing the entire population into thinking of your company first, because basically brainwashing the entire population into thinking of your company first before any other company. This is called being top of mind. When I say sports, you probably think Nike. When I say computer, you might think Apple. When I say cheeseburger, you think McDonald's. This is brand advertising, but that is probably not, admittedly, what you need. There's time for that, but it's later down the line. To begin, you may have to run a few thousand people to your landing page. by boosting a Facebook post or an Instagram post. Or you may have to literally call every single restaurant in the greater Chicago area. Or you may have to personally introduce yourself to every wedding planner in the area code that you're in. Whatever it takes. Depending on your budget, you absolutely 100% need to advertise. It doesn't matter. And you're gonna either spend this with money or time. This is the engine of your machine. It is the top of your funnel. In order for money to spit out on the other side of the machine, you need a pipeline of potential customers to shove into your machine, which without this constant flow, you're sunk. But let's say you have leads, pillar 3. Once you've identified your target customers and have a solution to their problem, and they are aware now that you exist because you've done some advertising and you've gotten them to show interest, the next crucial step is to convert those potential customers into actual customers. People come into your cafe. Do they buy a coffee or not? People walk into your store. Are they just browsing or do they pull out their credit card? People come to your website. Do they add to cart and buy? Do they put in their credit card or do they get distracted and click off because they have a cat video on their phone? This conversion from potential customer to actual customer is called lead conversion. And it's obviously important. It's the difference between a successful business and an unsuccessful business. It's cash flow. It's an investment opportunity. It's hiring versus letting someone go. It is quite literally the lifeblood of your entire organization. To keep with my mom as an example, let's imagine she put up a website and she has 10 visitors a day to that website, of which 4 actually called her to set up an appointment for a custom pillow order. What percentage of those 4 become customers? This is the third part of the business, and it requires a bit of aggression or persuasion, in the least, sales, which some business owners naturally are not very good at. But it's also very important, and this is one of those comfort zones that you must find the courage to address. Sales requires its own lesson, honestly, but here's what I'll say for now. Sales is just helping people. If you believe your product is worthy of its value, then all you're doing is helping the person with their problem. If they need a pillow, it is not immoral or cringe or weird or awkward for my mom to explain why her pillow is the best. It's just being honest, which means, truth be told, that if you're uncomfortable selling your product, if you feel weird selling your product, you might have a shitty product. Pillar 4. Now, of those customers who do buy your product or your service, how many of them come back and buy more? How many become lifelong customers, regular, rabid fans? How many of them refer their friends? It's been said that you only need 1,000 true fans to have a proper business, and I couldn't agree with that more, honestly. Now, granted, in order to build a large business, obviously you need more, depending on your price point, but the base theory stands. The Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, it states that 20%, again, 20% of your customers will amount to 80% of your total revenue. So you must ask yourself, first, what is the current lifetime value of one of my average customers? And secondly, what else could I do for that customer that would increase lifetime value so they buy more from you? At my company, Virtual Worker Now, we have what's called a sticky subscription. Since we provide valuable employees, rarely do our clients cancel. Moreover, once a client starts working with us, they often add additional employees. So we have what's called upsells built into our model. Therefore, our lifetime value is high. It's very easy for our clients to continue to pay us more and more and more because they're literally on a subscription. Whereas if you have an e-commerce store that sells flash in the pan plastic garbage from China, it's very unlikely that people will come back for more. So make sure that you're building your company on a solid foundation. Nike doesn't only sell running shoes. They now sell watches, they sell canoes and hats and equipment of all varieties. Why? Why do they do that? Lifetime value. McDonald's doesn't only sell cheeseburgers. They also say, would you like fries with that? Would you like to join our loyalty program? Would you like to have your child's birthday party at our McDonald's? This is all increasing the lifetime value of every customer. So what is your would you like fries with that? What is your buy 2, get 30% off special? What is your most people who buy this also buy this? What is your next time you get a free dessert? What is your, would you like to make this a subscription? Answering these questions ahead of time, setting yourself up for loyalty from the very start can and most likely will determine whether your company or business is successful or not. Yes, of course, you must at base have a good product or service. But some of the time, even when companies have great products or services, because they're so bad at aggressively giving more value to their current customers, they literally throw money in the trash. So don't be like those companies. Be instead like Apple, probably the greatest lifetime value optimizing company on the planet, to be honest. You think you're buying an iPhone, but really you're learning their iOS system, which will prompt you to buy an Apple computer, which will entice you to use iTunes, which will then prompt you to use their App Store, which will result in you buying the iWatch or some adapter to their enclosed system, and on and on and on. This is a bit more advanced, obviously, but they literally lose money, do you know this? On the first iPhone that you buy. They lose money. But that doesn't matter because over the course of your life, literally your lifetime, they will more than make up for any marketing costs incurred to convert you into that first sale. Target, by the way, in the United States does this as well. Charles Duhigg in The Power of Habit speaks to this, namely that Target loses money on every diaper purchase. And they're okay with this because think about it. If they can get you to buy diapers, they'll get you for the next 30 years. Bam, lifetime value optimization. And so if you combine these 4 elements of business successfully, if you pay attention to your unique value proposition, if you constantly put up new potential customers into your pipeline, you convert those potential customers into actual customers, and then you build brand loyalty by offering them more and more and more services and products throughout their lives, you have a value-giving machine. Easy, right? You don't need to understand supply and demand curves. You don't need to know how to predict currency deflation in Southeast Asia. You don't need to understand the antitrust lawsuits against IBM in the 80s. You don't need case studies on Uber's ability to flounder government regulations when they're expanding. You don't need 30 lesson lectures on the ethics of globalization in developing nations. You need a product. You need to advertise the product. You need to sell the product, and you need to keep your customers happy after they buy the product. Don't get scammed by people with fancy titles and their theories. The best way to learn is to do. All the noise you hear about macroeconomic theory, this and that, is a detriment. Ignore it. If you are starting a business, ask yourself these simple questions. What can I do differently than everyone else? And then how can I tell people about it? How do I get those people to give me money for it? And then how can I get them to come back for more? Those are your questions. Answer those questions on a napkin even. And you don't need a stinking business plan. Just get your hands dirty, build the product, market the product, sell the product, make customers happy, not rocket science. But that begs the question, how much money do you need to start this business or scale your business? Well, watch this next video here and we will teach you exactly how to start your company with $0.